On Second Shot, we tackle 2 new headlines every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And we want you to be a part of that. When you see a headline you want to take a second shot at, or if you're looking for advice, or just want to tell us what you think of the show, email us at secondshotcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes. This helps us move up in the ratings so more people will see us. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the show so that the new episodes will get straight to you every single Friday. We love you. Thanks for listening, and enjoy.
Heath Oaks is a millennial mogul whose ignorance on fire led him to fail his way to success. Jenny Anchondo is an Emmy award-winning journalist whose sharp eye and biting wit have led to her storied career in television. Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only an odd couple with a dash of perfect opposite can. So kick back, relax, and join the conversation. This is Second Shot with your hosts, Heath and Jenny.
Well, we're back here with another segment of Second Shot. I was going to try to do like one of those like really kind of professional radio
You should not.
I'm just trying.
A Walter Cronkite.
Trying something new.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, can I be that? And I don't think it flowed
I think
that
you
well.
do a good job of just fully being yourself.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah.
that
You know
was
what
one
I
of those
mean?
trying to be
You do the
somebody
best
else right
job
then.
of that.
Yeah.
The best Heath anybody.
Yeah.
We got Jenny, Zach, Matt, and we got Jenny's mom in again, Jeanette.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
After our Mother's Day episode, we figured we'd make a little run back here to maybe some of the business side of things on this episode, I believe.
Yes.
You just did the Brighton like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
Brighton has this she gets very theatrical with things, and like for instance, at night when I put her down in her bed and I'll always, do you want your blanket? Yeah. Like she gets very.
Don't mom shame us. We do give her a blanket now.
Yeah.
but
Now she's old enough.
Yeah.
she gets very theatrical about like it's like you go outside. Yeah. Like she
Cool
gets
place.
Yeah, it's so funny.
All
She does get
stoked.
very excited, but I also get very excited about small things. So
Yeah.
that might be it.
You want the Play-Doh? Yeah.
Does she go the same way, like negatively? Like, no. Like,
Yeah.
Doesn't
No.
like things?
No.
It's multiple no's in a row. No.
She's an inspiration.
She really is.
Yeah.
I hope I can be like Brighton one day.
Same.
Well, speaking of getting away, it's not a segue at all, but hey, we have our first headline, right? People getting away.
Hey, look, you were trying to be
yes.
somebody else. I was trying
That's
to be somebody
right.
else.
I'm trying to
Let's
draw
just
what I'm
all
not.
get right back into our own authentic
That's right,
selves.
back into my own skin. A luxurious private island resort opens for business, and a night stay costs $100,000. This is an island stretching across the western Philippines. It's a luxurious private resort. It is one island for $100,000 a night. You get the whole island for one night, all right? It's got 48, it can hold up to 48 guests in 6 villas. It's got the whole package. You got chefs and on-site staff and hammocks and everything you could ever want for the low, low price of $1/10,000,000.
Sounds like Second Shot team building if I ever heard
Yeah,
of it.
you know,
We
honestly,
do
yeah.
need a trip, don't we?
It's true. Yeah, if somebody could lock that down, that'd be great.
It's $100,000, 48 people. Break that down. It's only $2,000 a person
Oh,
per
yeah.
night. You know, I mean, not that
Some
bad.
quick math, Heath, though. Yeah.
I
It's
guess
called a
we
calculator.
need to get some more staff to split it with.
Somebody Airbnb us out there, please. You have to take a helicopter to get there. It is so exclusive. There's almost nothing quite like it, and it's priced as one of the most expensive getaways anywhere in the world. This is top tier. So,
That's a life goal.
what are our second shots on this $100,000 resort?
First shot is we want to go.
Right.
You know,
No shame in that.
Yeah.
the most hilarious part is, you know, the first thing I thought when I heard that?
What?
I want to be the guy that owns that charging 100. Not even like me going
No
to it. I
kidding.
wanted to be the guy owning it, getting that. Yeah. Like I know yours went to thought of probably going there. Like mine was, I want to own it to be able to charge
That's
somebody.
the
100
entrepreneur
grand.
mindset. Just getting away on the other side of that. All these chumps just want to go there. I want to own the thing.
Yeah.
I'm the chump.
Right.
Yeah.
I,
What can I
I
say?
too am that chump. Yeah.
Yeah, because y'all want $100,000 a night deal. Yeah, I was just like immediately thought, man, how great would that be to own it?
So when I think about a second shot on this headline, you know, 'cause the very top of the headline is, gosh, how extravagant, how crazy is it that somebody's charging $100,000 for something? And when I look at that, I think about, you know, when if somebody's an entrepreneur and they're setting their price for something, and I think people get really scared to charge what they actually think they're worth for fear somebody else won't see that value, or for fear that somebody just won't want to pay it. So they decrease it. They decrease what they're charging and then they're like a little bit ticked off because they didn't actually charge what they were worth. And I think it's important to remember that there are people out there in the world that are charging $100,000 a night for a resort stay. So we all have to think about, okay, am I worth the, my hourly rate for my services, whatever it is that I do? And I know, Heath, you have some negotiating tactics, because this is an area that I struggle in. I know that people think this because I'm that person. Yeah. I'm that person that thinks, ooh, is somebody really going to pay that for me? Maybe I'll discount it. And it doesn't work well for anybody. Well,
here's one of the tips on that this story actually does a very good factor in when it comes to negotiating. Maybe negotiating your to buy a car or to buy anything like that, for instance, and getting your value worth, right? What you are, whether you're somebody that's got something you're selling and you want to have it up there. The shock value is one of the biggest keys of a negotiation part. And to have that shock value number that it is probably going to be so far off to get people really thinking different. So, for instance, and it's really hard for most people to do because it's very uncomfortable for people to think that can be a deal. So let's just say you're going to buy a car and it says $30,000, okay? Go in there and be like, I'll pay you $24,000. Most people are like, well, that's not going to happen. I mean, this car's a $28,000, $29,000. Go low. Go really low.
Ugh, I hate this conversation so much.
Whoa, why?
She does.
That's the sticker price.
But you just pay that. I know, but I hate the back and forth. I hate the game. I know, but it's also like we live in the world. I guess we've got to play the game.
Like maybe it is going to get your apartment rent, right? And they offer you a number. Go really low of it right off the bat. Because what it does is it's a psychological thing of getting people in a mode of, now that whenever you come back at them at $26,000, that sounds actually kind of realistic because you just threw out 24, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, let's say you're negotiating a salary, okay, or you're going to work somewhere and you're asking for a salary. One of the biggest keys to do is, number one, get a little bit of research somehow, some way to finding out where that is. So, say you're getting paid $80,000, you just got out of school, you got something, working somewhere, and you're wanting up for a promotion of some sort, okay? Do something. Ask people, look in people that you know in other companies, maybe in some similar roles, finding out there's a lot of job salary insights out there nowadays. You can go Google around and find. So say I was sitting there and it looked like a majority of people were getting paid, $95,000 for what I was doing, okay, before I go into negotiation. I would probably go in there and say, one of the keys is a range on top of it, and have your low number a shock value number. So if it was $95,000, I'd probably go in there with $120,000 to $150,000 range, and right off the bat, and it's going to put them in this holy crap. Like if it's really around 95, is probably what in their head. Your bottom number is big, but the key with the range is it not putting people into a box, right? Like if you just give out one number, it makes people feel like they're backed into a wall.
Oh dang! I just messed this up recently.
Yeah. And it can shut people down.
Right.
But if you give a range and that low number is still really high in the top end, then if y'all come settle on that, it feels like they're gonna feel like they got a good deal. So if you put one number and it's in a wall, people feel like they're backed into a wall. So one of those biggest things is that shock value. So if you're trying to pitch what you want worth, but you got to have a shock value that also, you got to have some kind of, if they go, where'd you get that from, right? Like you need to have some sort of with it, but give a range when you're asking for what you want, and put that bottom number a lot higher, because honestly, you're probably thinking, I'd obviously be good at 95 or 100, right? But if you go high, then more likely you're going to settle there at that number or a little bit higher, and you're given the range. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it does. Like I said, I just
now you're sitting over there like
sweating.
We
should have done this episode like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
One other really big piece when negotiating anything to do, other little tip on it can be not getting into this back and forth game, like you said you hate, right? Mm-hmm. Getting into a back and forth negotiation. I only want to pay $850 a month for my apartment rent, and they're at $950, and you go, well, why don't we meet in the middle at $900, right? It never works very well. Don't do that. Never split the difference.
Never compromise.
Split the difference.
So what do you do?
What you want to do is, because you want both people to... I'm always a fan of both people getting to feel good when they walk away. I don't like the bully mentality of somebody walks away a loser and somebody walks away as a winner. In any negotiation, the way you don't go back and forth on something. So, Jenny, for instance, say you're the apartment leasing company, okay?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. And
You've done this a lot.
yeah.
Would you like an apartment today?
I have a Mrs. Fields cookie and a small bottle of water to offer you.
Let's do this real quick.
You have done this before.
I know. I really need to pay $850 a month for this apartment. You don't know this yet, okay?
Okay.
But you come out with $950 because that's what your rates. But I know I really need to beat $850, okay?
Okay. Yes, we have a luxury apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in Uptown Dallas for $950.
Okay. How am I supposed to do that?
Well, that's just what the rent is.
For this area?
Yes.
And the rent here in that area?
Yeah. We charge $950 for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Would
Would
you like to see a tour?
To see a tour?
Uh-huh.
For a 1 bedroom, 1 bath?
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
What am I supposed to do now?
Well, what's hard to role play with this is
Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm a terrible salesperson. I'm confused
lost,
too.
right.
no. What's hard to role play here is because you obviously are not an apartment leasing person, so you don't know your facts. So you would typically come out with that's not what you do. So that was a bad thing for me to do. No. I'm telling you that was I put you on a bad spot because
Okay.
you know.
So what should I have done?
But for instance, when you want somebody to talk, you want them to talk, and you don't want to have to come back and answer. Well, I can't do 950. I can do 900. You can always do what we call mirroring questions. So when they throw something out, you mirror that. It is a question back to them. And then how am I supposed to do that? If you got a number you're trying to come to, then you're going to give them the ability to keep talking, and you're not coming back with a number. So typically they would go into why all their facts and features of their apartment are worth more, and they would go into all of those things, right?
Okay.
Why that specific area is da-da-da-da-da-da, all that kind of
So
stuff.
who ends up compromising?
Well, they will always end up speaking out and going, well, you know what, my manager does have a $50 off promotion that I can give you, down to 900, blah, blah, blah. And you just keep asking them questions. Get them to keep talking. The more people talk, the more they say things that and they're going to throw out the stuff that give you that little deal that the manager's got a promotion of $50, so now you can use that against it, right? I mean, the biggest thing in negotiation is not going back and forth with battling a number, but just getting that person to keep talking. Because if you were really an apartment leasing person, you would have all this knowledge of your stuff, so you would keep throwing it out and keep talking, and you would almost not start negotiating with yourself because you don't feel backed in a corner because I'm not telling you have to do this, right? I'm just asking you questions, you keep talking. So one of the big things, shock value, throw a number, even though it's odd, either really high on what you want or really low on what you want.
But the range has to be close to what you think they might actually pay you.
No, the bottom number you still want to be high.
Oh.
But you want a range because the range helps not feel like it's backed into a corner of a one specific thing.
I think it's also important to know who you're talking to, right?
Yes.
Like
Totally.
with this island, right? They're charging $100,000. That sounds ridiculous to me, but they're not wanting me to come there. They're not wanting me who's having to figure out how to get a flight there and all
No
that stuff like
offense.
that.
Yeah.
They're wanting people who $100,000 a night sounds like, well, yeah, I could spend that, right? I mean, I recently gave a freelance proposal to a university for a project, and I quoted them a higher price because they're dealing with more money than, say, an individual might. And they took it. They said, yeah, okay. So I knew, going into that, like, I'm not dealing with someone who's having to count their pennies. I'm dealing with someone who this is just part of a budget, and they'll be able to do it. And it worked out for me. So I think it's important to know. I think it's important to know who you're talking to on the other end of this deal, and whether or not you have that rope to say, yeah, I'm charging $100,000 a night. Come pay it or don't.
Shock value. Put your range out there. Ask the calibrated questions back to people and get them to talk as much as possible. You don't have to come back with a lower number and split a difference. Just keep asking them questions. People love to talk, and they will end up talking and talking themselves into negotiating with themselves. It feels very odd, but if you just try it, I promise you it'll work. We'll be back in a minute on the second segment of Second Shot.
He makes up words, she translates them. Heath and Jenny host more of Second Shot, coming up on RNCN.
You guys have been listening to Second Shot and hearing us talk about it. You need to go pick up my book, Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. You can get it on Amazon in a paper book. You can also hear this beautiful voice of mine in audiobook style on Audible or anywhere you're going to get your audiobooks. Guys, this book took a lot of time to put into it, and I believe it can really be some life-changing stuff to help you on your path to success. And hopefully you're going to fail your way to success just like I did. Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. Amazon.com, Audible.com, audiobooks, paper books, everything. Get it, share it with your people, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go pick it up today.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
I truly think just talking about negotiation in general is something that gives Jenny anxiety.
It is. It is. Because I never want to feel like I'm trying to trick somebody or get something that somebody needs. Or I think about, like, what about their family, and what if this person really needs this bonus? I mean, like, I stayed at a gym because I figured out the bonus schedule for this particular gym I wanted to cancel, but I knew that he wouldn't get the bonus he got for signing me up, and I stayed on it for an extra 3 months.
God, I would love to have you to
I know.
me selling you something.
That's because you're so kind.
Yeah.
It's a
See, it's because I'm nice.
Well,
But again, I go back to it. I don't believe in the bully tactic. I don't ever want to walk away from negotiation and somebody feel like they lost and I won. I don't like that. There is a way that we all get what we want. My thing is, I want you to make money on what you're going to be getting me, okay? But you're not making your whole month's paycheck on me.
See, that's what I did. I stayed at the gym I did not use or like for 3 months. So he could get his bonus, and then I quit.
3 months isn't bad. I guarantee there's somebody listening to this show right now that's like, oh God, I've had one for a year
Right,
or
I forgot to
something like that.
cancel.
Yeah. That LA Fitness subscription has got to go.
He did that. He had that LA Fitness thing for a while.
That's just
hard.
because I forgot, though.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. He forgot, and then it was like, oh,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
Anyway, I will learn to get comfortable with this, just in the mindset of we're both going to win and we're both going to come out successful on whatever deal I'm working on.
Sure. Well, speaking of humanity circling the drain, we have a report from the UN. All right. That was what? Nobody laughed? Nobody? Okay. This is the driest. All right. Humans are accelerating the extinction of species. People are putting nature in more trouble now than at any other time in human history, with extinction looming over 1 million species of plants and animals, scientists said Monday. But the good news, it's not too late to fix this problem. The idea behind this article is that, according to co-chairman Eduardo Brandizio of Indiana University, that we have dramatically reconfigured life on our planet. The coral reef isn't doing so hot. We're cutting down lots of trees. We're doing our thing, and there's a lot of us. All right, and it's great, and things are good. But ultimately, it seems like we're changing direction, and the good news is that this isn't terminal. We can do something about it. We can change the way it feels like science says we're going. What are the hot takes here?
Now, before we get going, disclaimer is...
Big disclaimer.
I do not want to get into a global warming, not global warming, and all that talk, because that is a very politicized, political thing, and I loved Jenny's second shot on this, and I thought she had a great second shot on this specifically, and so before everybody starts messaging about their thoughts on global warming,
People
that's not what
leaving
this is.
Right.
This second shot is
I will
great.
say I'm pro-Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am pro taking care of it for what that's worth.
I like this big blue rock that we're spinning
Yes.
on. It's not so
It
bad.
is awesome. It
Yeah.
is awesome. I love there's a Mother Teresa quote. I only feel angry when I see waste, when I see people throwing away things we could use. So I hear that. I know she's talking about more so environmental, waste is what she's referencing there, I'm assuming. But a second shot on this article and sort of how we can use this in our lives is, how are we wasting the resources of the people in our lives, or even wasting our own resources? Ooh. Taking things for granted. We get our body and we're born, and we either take care of it or we don't, and it either serves us or it doesn't long term. So that's like our resource. Same thing at work. You know how there's I hope everybody has had that coworker or that boss or that person that works for them that's just like always on it. They're always on it. They show up to every meeting. They stay late when you need to. They, remind you of things that you forgot. They make everybody else look good. those kind of people, I think sometimes are the people that we can take for granted. They're the people like, the earth. We think, oh, you know what? There's a landfill somewhere that'll take my garbage. Well, be careful about taking those people for granted and about letting those people continually deal with your garbage, because it's going to run out. It's like the global warming of work.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The global working.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable long term, and that person or those people that you're treating like that you're just kind of throwing things away and taking for granted, will not last.
Well, it's that typical thing of that high performer, and you keep putting things on them because they're going to get done. Sooner or later, they're going to be tired and go, I'm done. I'm out. And like you said, it's so key to not take for granted the people that, and maybe it's, say you're not a boss, but say it's a coworker.
Totally.
That y'all always bounce ideas off of and help each other. Like, maybe it's good to maybe just let them know you appreciate them every now and then, because don't you agree, it's not like you've got to go get them surprise Disney tickets to make it do. It's like a simple, like what your mom was talking about on last episode was writing some handwritten notes and stuff. Like, maybe a little note of, hey, thank you for being a great coworker, I just want you to know I appreciate you. Like, that's all. It doesn't take Disney tickets, right? I mean,
I like that it's the first thing of what would be a good incentive is Disney tickets.
Disney is great.
It is
Just
great.
the height of
But you do a
luxury.
lot of that with your girls.
We do that. Yeah, I do that with my girls. I'll give them a little coffee card, and we have a system at our work where we have preferred vendors. So if they are a preferred vendor of our club, we advertise for them, and then they will give us little gift cards for their business, coffee or restaurants or whatever, and they're kept with our manager. And when we have someone who has done something, above and beyond, we go and we get a card, and I have for my girls just several baskets, and they have their name on them, and I'll slip a little card in there, and it goes a long way. It goes a long way just saying, I appreciate you, here's a little coffee card, that was great, whatever you did the other day was great. And
It's not like it's big stuff.
No, it's not big. It's
But
just
it's the
saying
gesture.
thank you. It's the gesture of saying thank you, writing a note and saying thanks for what, this or that. It makes a big difference. Making people feel appreciated is a key.
Gosh, when I would get a text message from my news director, like I have those saved still.
I remember
a
that.
text message, and I would screenshot it. I would send it to my mom. I'd send it to Heath, because it would be so meaningful, because you work so hard, and not that that sounds very ego driven to just be looking for, waiting for that compliment from the boss, but you want to know you're on track, and you want to know it's all not for nothing.
why do you think we take those like resources around us, the kind of normal, like the great friends and all that why do we take them for granted? Why do
Because
we let
we've
that?
always had them.
Yeah.
It's the
Human
same
nature.
thing like with your body. You have always had it. And for most of us, we've been blessed enough to know that they've always been good, right? Like they haven't, generally, and for most, like majority of people are able to go through their teenage years being pretty lucky. Like it always works for you. You wake up every morning, if you're able to walk, that's a blessing for you. All these things until it doesn't. And then we're like, whoa. Hold on a second, my back hurts.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm swollen or whatever it is, or you're getting an injury.
Right.
You don't have your arm and you're like, oh my gosh, I really liked typing and that was pretty essential to my job. Well, you never got up every morning. We're thankful for, wow, I feel so thankful to have this arm. It's we take it for granted because we've never not had those things, I think.
I mean, there's a reason why people make big life changes after a heart attack or something like
Totally.
that. Whenever they suddenly are faced with the possibility like, my time here is not unlimited. Or whenever they have a big fight with a friend and they realize maybe I've been taking advantage of them, or maybe I've been ignoring them, or things that they've been saying. There's a reason that it takes those kinds of things to make people appreciate it. Because, when they're always there, you don't think about the cost that you're putting on that other person.
What do you think? So that way, maybe something for the listeners, because you're really good at practicing, the gratefulness and all of the mantras you've done in the past is, like, what for the listeners, so it doesn't take a heart attack or whatever for them to or losing their best friend because they finally pushed them over the edge and them having to find out that way. Like, what are some tidbits they can do?
Well, so in terms of gratitude, and this has been like a long
Because when you say
journey.
gratitude is a big part of it, right?
Gratitude is a big part of it, because you have to think like super small, because a lot of times we will look at our lives and nobody is immune to this, and say like, I've got nothing. Okay, well, how about, if you're thinking that thought, do you have air? Yes. Okay, good. There's one thing. Okay, do you have a piece of paper and a pen to write something down on so you can do this list? Okay, good. You've got like a couple of resources. That's pretty good. I bet you might even have internet, and that means you can connect with people. And do you have fresh air today? And do you have rain? Okay, well, some people say, oh, well, that stinks. It's a rainy day. Okay, well, it's watering your plants. And it's, once you start to think of those things, you'll start to think of the more tangible things like, okay, gosh, I'm going to this podcast and I'm going to have 4 people who I really enjoy spending time with, and I'm going to be with them for an hour today talking about this podcast. I consider those people friends. So now you've got friends. So I think that sometimes we can feel like really alone and lonely, but when you start counting up all of those different things, your mindset shifts to where you're starting to pick up on like small, exciting things like, ooh, there's really good selfie lighting in here. But silly stuff, you know what I mean? You'll start to pick up like, oh,
she went to the selfie light.
I made it through that light. Or you know what? Traffic wasn't as bad today as it was yesterday. And I just think it gives an overall mindset shift. And here's the thing. When you're the person who's always noticing the like kind of cool but small things, other people want to be around you and will share those things with you. So it just is a domino effect. But I do think having gratitude in that area will then translate into not taking those other things for granted, because you start really small with like the simple stuff.
Well, because if you start practicing gratitude every day, at some point you got to get really small, right? Because you got
right, because you're gonna run out of stuff. Yeah. Like not everyone's having like a wedding every day or something like that. So I do 10 things. Well, and I ebb and flow with this. I'm not perfect with it.
Nobody is.
But I try to do in the morning. I try to write down 10 things, and I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mine are more of a prayer. If that's this can work as not a prayer. It can work as just a gratitude journal. If you don't have time for the journal, I get it. Sometimes I'm with Brighton and I'm saying it in my head. Yeah. I'm like making her breakfast, because not everybody's got like this whole hour of morning routine to do. But sometimes I'm making her breakfast and I'm thinking, okay, I'm thankful that we have eggs this morning. Yeah. I'm thankful, that she's awake, and thankful that she wants to spend time with me and that I'm able to spend time with her. Yeah.
And I think that if you take some of that, because I think if you practice gratefulness every day, like Jenny was talking about, you get to a point where you're really starting to really get grateful on the very small things, which that's what helps you realize that special relationship or that friend or that coworker that, they just are always there and doing it. And so you can easily leave them behind. But when you start really practicing gratefulness, those relationships will come to your mindset, so you don't let time go by and not thank them and let them know they're appreciated, because don't wait till the time comes where they're gone or something before you have to realize it the really hard way. So we'll be back on the third segment of Second Shot.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Heath and Jenny still to come.
To all of my friends in the great state of Texas, if you have not taken advantage, I have a way to save you a ton of money. I have saved over about $3,000 in the last year, and I have no hassle. Go to energyogre.com, put in the promo code SECONDSHOT. Now listen, promo code SECONDSHOT, and you're going to get a free month just for signing up and saving a ton of money. So don't be crazy. Stop sitting around talking about, is this the real deal? And go do it right now. energyogre.com, promo code SECONDSHOT, and a free month. Thanks. Go get it now. Run.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
Not gonna lie, I'm always a little nervous when Jenny starts busting out things that we've got to try and eat on there. I mean, Matt and I have had deep scars on the show with eating.
That,
I've never forgotten
California
it.
roll. That was really
it was
harsh. That was really sad for you guys. I brought in some Mexican sweetbread, pan dulce. My mom made.
Have you ever had sweetbread?
Pan dulce?
Have you
No, never once. I don't know what I'm in for.
It's much better microwaved. This is also the dairy-free and butter-free version.
Right, there's a disclaimer on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Have you tried it, Matt?
I've not tried it.
It's very good.
Yeah,
You're
go
gonna
ahead
love
and
it,
try.
by the way.
Okay, this
I'll
one.
go ahead and try.
This is
Yeah.
It could be a little dry.
Try the sweetbread. The sweetbread is phenomenal.
We're a little late on Cinco de Mayo, but for people who don't know, you can see it on the camera, or like if you've ever been into a Mexican bakery, it's the big round breads that usually have either yellow or pink or white.
Yeah.
You know
Hold
what I
on.
mean on the
This
top.
is
And
ringing
they're-
a bell.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
usually really
It's like a
dry.
crust.
Yeah.
They're usually really dry. So that's sort of like the nature of that type of bread.
Last
so
time I was in San
go ahead and
Antonio,
try
I
it.
might have had some of this. Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
It's not. Hopefully they don't give the reaction they gave to the sushi.
I know.
No, this is much better than the
Yes,
sushi.
Matt,
No,
I told you.
yeah.
Yes!
Like,
Yeah.
Matt, this is, I
No,
told
this
you.
is great.
Yeah. This is like the good stuff
There's
to
no
try.
milk or butter in this?
No.
No.
How's that even possible?
I know, it's so soft.
What was the secret, Mama?
If you don't
Well,
mind.
I used there is milk. There's hemp milk,
Ooh.
and there's cashew milk,
Okay.
and there's coconut oil. There's no butter.
I was going to say coconut oil's got to
And
be the
there's
secret.
Yeah.
there's
But isn't it so
Egg.
soft?
It is really soft.
But it's
don't mind me.
dairy-free.
I'm just going to eat this
the
first,
crust
so.
should be butter and sugar and stuff, but I made it with honey. So it's I was trying.
I
No,
think
no,
it
it's
came
good.
out pretty well.
Oh, I thought it was very good.
Now, the other treats we brought in, Irma went to Mexico, our nanny, and brought back my favorite food. I had to bring it in for you guys because I cannot eat this entire thing myself. It's mazepan, which is basically sugar and peanuts.
This is not like marzipan,
No.
the cake frosting.
No.
This is very different.
It's
Very different.
So here, Matt, put it
Okay.
on my camera. I'm going to show a picture of it, okay?
Yeah.
So everybody can see it on the camera right there.
it's like
What is this, like a little cookie or cake?
disc or like a...
And this is like so nostalgic
Okay.
for me. This makes me think of when my grandparents would go to Mexico and bring this back, or even just be in California because they would have it in California. But
Oh,
in
it does
Idaho,
break up
we did not
quite a
have
bit.
these.
It is Oreo size, right? I'd say that's probably
Yes, Oreo size.
Yeah,
accurate.
the standard measurement of food sizes.
Well, I was going to say like a
Do I
small
have to
hot
wait until
dog, but
anxious?
No, you can eat it. My mom says,
you
"Do I
just
have to
you
wait?"
don't. I was going to say, is this like a one bite thing, or you kind of work on it? In
All I'm
pieces?
saying
what am I getting
is
into here?
that no, don't do it in one bite because it's like so
super sweet.
so sweet.
Man, I like sweet, and that right there almost gave me a sweet high.
Oh man!
Wow.
It's a lot.
Wow.
Oh wow!
It's
It's
too
very,
sweet.
very rich.
Oh, I
Peanuts?
love it.
Kind of.
Really
Am I
rich.
picking up on that?
Peanuts and
Yes,
Peanuts?
peanuts and sugar.
It's almost
Is
like
that
a,
all that's in it?
Good question.
Very good.
Wow.
It's, oh wait, no, nope. It's just peanuts, sugar, and artificial flavor.
All natural
That's what I'm
ingredients.
tasting, that artificial flavor.
That yellow 5
I
is
knew
really
it,
coming
yeah.
through. No, it's good. Yeah,
Isn't it
this is
good?
really good.
It's
So wait,
so good.
is there a proper way to eat? Like, do you eat this with something else, or is it supposed to be enjoyed by
it
itself?
almost feels like it should be with something, right?
like
It's
with
so
coffee
strong.
or
Something to
with
cut it.
milk or something? Like,
It's so strong.
with
Am I the
Kool-Aid.
only one who just thinks it's perfect?
No, I'm
and not
with
too
them. I don't
sweet?
need to cut it. I would eat.
Yeah.
I would eat 27 of these.
Yeah,
that's why I
me
had
too.
delicious.
to.
Me too.
That's why I had to give away 4 of them and take the other
wow.
300 back home with
It's
me.
very bold.
It's got a very specific flavor. It reminds me of like the little peanut butter candies that you get at Halloween.
Yeah.
It has that flavor to it.
Oh gosh, this is good. Between this and the sweetbread, I've got quite the.
Isn't that good?
Little
the setup.
afternoon
There's all-
snack
that's
here.
right.
Knack.
Yeah.
Little knack.
No,
No, pick me
no.
up. Brighton does
That's a
not
good
get
knack.
this, by the way.
No.
Matt, you said you had another thought on that last segment.
Oh, yeah. So it struck me. Anytime we talk about this kind of stuff, it strikes me about how often I think about doing things like that, like giving someone a card, or calling my parents, or telling someone thank you, or posting something on social media, like you do these days. I think about it all the time, but I rarely do it.
Why is that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it could be laziness. It could just be I get busy with something else. But I think that probably happens to a lot of people.
Yes.
Where these ideas go through your head. I mean, these are not foreign concepts, right?
Right.
It's just you don't go the extra. It's almost like thinking about it is good enough for you, and you don't
Yeah.
take
So
the extra
true,
step.
Matt.
That's a really
to-
good. That
to do
is,
it.
Right.
That's such a good thought to have, a self-awareness on that of realizing what he just said is sometimes you think about it and you think, oh yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I appreciate that person. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why?
But they-
why
Which is good. I mean, it's good to do that too.
Sure,
But
yeah.
to express it. And I think sometimes we also want to make for me, I want to make such a grandiose gesture that I do nothing. Like it's like, oh, it's got to be involved, and I've got
Yeah.
to do the handwritten card and figure out their address and take it to the post office and stuff. Where maybe instead of doing nothing, I could just send a text. Not as exciting, but it's
Right.
better
At
than
least
nothing.
something.
I think a text is a savior in these things. That's what I've learned. Because if I'm thinking of someone, I will just send them a quick text that just says that. Thinking of you, thanks, a heart, whatever.
An emoji.
But yeah,
A bitmoji.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and I mean I'm late to all these things, right, Jen? Like anything.
I mean, You just got a smartphone last year,
Right.
so
So
thank goodness she
if
can
I'm
do the
late-
heart
Got
emoji.
here
I'm
as fast
late.
as she could.
I did get as fast as I could,
right.
and now I can text my thank yous.
Yeah.
But don't you think, Matt, like if instead of like what you probably do in your head is you get to this of how much it's got to be when you think about it versus what like Jeanette just said, you know, if you think of somebody, just send them a text, say, hey, just thinking of you, hope all is right. Like why don't we just do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think calling the parents is probably a big one. I know people are better at this than others, but I will think at some point during the day, oh, I need to call mom. I haven't talked to mom in a few days, and I don't do it because I think, well, I've got to sit down, I've got to block off time, I've got to do this. When I don't know, I drive to and from work every day. I could call her then. I could call her when I'm getting ready for dinner or any number of time, any number of points during the day where I have 5 minutes of uninterrupted time just to say, hey, how's everything going? What are y'all up to? And I just don't. I don't do it because I feel like I need to schedule that, or I need to make some sort of grand gesture or something. I could stop on my way home and pick up a card from my wife. It just says, hey, thanks for taking care of the animals or doing whatever, and I don't do it.
And it doesn't take that much. We just got. I think it's just taking that next step. Well, if you have that self-awareness of it now, like more so, maybe it is next time that happens, you really take that step. And with all of us as well, as when it's like in our mind, it's fresh of thinking about it. You know, the other thing was, I've really been pretty easy on our listeners and not shaming them too hard on reviews and everything.
You know you've thought about it.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I'm going to text them now.
but as soon as I stop shaming, the reviews stop. Wow. You know, so I'm shaming you right now if you're listening, and you've listened to more than one episode and heard this, and you've not left us a review. It doesn't take much. Come on, guys. I need you. I need your help here.
Yeah.
We died off literally when my shaming stopped.
Okay, so he's back with the shaming.
Right.
It's just the negative feedback is really working for our audience. So the way that you do it, by the way, if you're new to iTunes, is if you're listening on your phone, you just go click on the Second Shot podcast, which is what you're listening to right now. And then there'll be an option to you'll see the 5 stars in a row. Hopefully you'll give us 5 if you found it valuable. And then you can comment, you can give, if you have any feedback for us. I mean, if it's really like harsh feedback, you can just do it in the private group or send us an email at secondshotcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Don't put that on Front Street.
Not like the pink stuff.
No. Yeah, not like that. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do like Pink's audience. And so, we would love to hear from you. And also, people are just connecting in the Second Shot group.
Second Shot Facebook group, and the email secondshotcast@gmail.com. Look, we would love to hear. That's what the emails are posting in the group. If you're in there, like if you have ideas or things you would like to hear us talk about or mention, like put them on there, like send them our way. Let us see them because we would love to hear what you want to hear about, anything you want to know about. Like we want your suggestions in any which way, shape, or form.
If there's an expert you want to hear from, that you want us to interview, anything like that.
Yeah, and again, I'm shaming you. Go leave us a rating and review. It is much, much appreciated if you do. Okay, so where can they find you?
JennyandChondo.com on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Jenny and Chondo.
At Apple Zackintosh on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com/group/Second Shot. Come join the conversation. We're all hanging out over there.
You can find me at Matt Stoker 1 on Instagram or in the Facebook group. Go there, tell me how thankful you are for me to be here. I know you feel that way.
Thank you, Gaga, for being on again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and you can't find me anywhere, I guess.
Go to my pages. She's in the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Ed Heath Oaks at Ignorance on Fire and all this stuff. I love you guys. See you next time.